Like Zach said, my name is Spitler. Currently former head coach at Lucas High School. I retired after 31 years of coaching. My time at Lucas, 2009 to 2023. Retired at the end of this season. Still a football junkie. Zach and I talked at the Coach Association fall meeting, and he wanted to bring the clinic back, and I'm honored that he asked me to speak. And my replacement, Sweat, the new head coach at Lucas High School, he was my defensive coordinator for 12 years. He's now the new head coach at Lucas, and not great for him, but we've always had an open door policy to work with anybody that's to reach out to us and stuff. Obviously, everyone here is interested or involved with the double wing. It's not for everybody, but it's been pretty successful for us and what our brand of football has been. Coach Nauman talked about power. We're a big power team too. Everything comes off of power for us in our offense. And the monster sweep came to fruition on continuing to conflict that defensive end or that force player off of the power series. So we look at monster sweep as an extension of the power series in our offense, or really it's just what we call power on steroids, and really we gap wider. But it's been a very good play for us. It's been a complementary play to power. It's a great two-point play. So hopefully you can get something from this. And again, I'm telling you, we didn't reinvent the wheel. I don't have all the answers. I'm not perfect. So some of the things that we do might not be for you, but hopefully you get something from this today that can help you improve your scheme or your attack in the double wing. There's my contact information, email, cell phone number. Like I said, I'm still a football junkie, even though I'm retired. I just get to sit in stands now and question him. But I'm always willing to talk football and pick brains and exchange and still learn. I still love it. I just deal with all the bullshit now. So I'm going to get into the double wing here. So prior to coming to Lucas, in the 45 years prior to my time at Lucas, they had 8 total winning seasons in those 45 years prior to hunting the double wing and bringing the double wing to Lucas. And we ran the double wing 13 out of the 15 seasons that I was at Lucas. In that time in the double wing, we're 97-55. We got a 17-10 playoff record in the double wing. We have a streak of 10 straight playoff appearances while running the double wing. Several quarterfinals, semifinals, runner-ups. 2019, we had a pretty good run. We were regional champ, state semifinal, and we lost to the Evil Empire in the state championship game, Marion Local. And they're like the Death Star. They just keep coming out and all white, and they're all 6'2", 220, and there's like 80-some of them. But the double wing allowed us to be competitive and really change the culture in our program. And now we're at a program where the expectation is success and winning, where it wasn't that prior to me coming to Lucas and going to the double wing. We're not blessed, kind of like Zach talked about the athletes that you get in small schools and stuff. We're not blessed with getting a bunch of superior athletes at our school. Having a great quarterback is something that doesn't come around very, very often at our school. But what this attack allowed us to do is take the blue-collar mentality that we have within our farming community and toughness and use to our advantage. And we kind of had the mentality that 2 of ours can always beat 1 of yours, and the attack allows us to double team a lot at the point of attack and, again, win battles that normally we wouldn't have. We're independent. We don't have a conference, so we find ourselves playing everybody and anybody across the state. We have, in my time at Lucas, we've played every division in state except D1, and we're D7. We have a winning record against every division in the state, but we haven't had a Division I game. We had a Division I team scheduled out of Cincinnati one year, but they got in a hazing incident and had to cancel their season. So we ended up grabbing a D2 that was open. But the reason we can play all over the state and against that level of competition that we normally wouldn't be playing against is the advantages that the double wing has given us in the matchup that we can create, the angles that we create with our athletes. Why the monster sweep? For us, it's a complementary to power. We call it our edge power play or our power play on steroids. Allows us to outnumber at the point of attack. It's an answer to a team that really wants to stack the box and pile everybody in the box. And then as well as those teams that think the answer to stopping you is bear crawling all their defensive linemen and trying to cut your offensive linemen. The wider play, the wider power play that we call monster sweep has been an advantage. We changed the picture. We can use it. We can attack with the monster sweep with multiple ball carriers, not just our wing backs. We cause conflict with that edge defender. We power, kick out that edge defender. He goes and gets his ass ripped by his coach to wrong arm and fight and all that. And the next thing you know, we wash him down and run monster. But visually, it looks the same. And then he gets his ass ripped for not defending that properly. Again, it looks like power. It allows us to outflank the defense. Works with several balanced and unbalanced formation and in the red zone and two-point conversion. It's a great two-point play because of it's a massive number of bodies in a single point of attack. So our base monster sweep on the offensive line, we number the same way Coach Nauman and Elgin does. Our centers, butt cheeks, 0 and 1. To the right side, it's the ass crack of the lineman, 2, 4, 6, and then 8 is outside our wing. And then the other way, 1, 3, 5, 7, and 9's outside the wing. So we're such an off tackle with the power play that we want to constantly conflict that force defender or that edge defender. So that's how we end up coming up with the monster sweep. And again, power, and then slam them down in and outnumber them at the point of attack off the edge. So we are foot to foot. We very rarely change that. We do have 1 foot splits in our arsenal, but it's a call or specific plays where we'll give you a mix where one side will be foot to foot, one side will be 1 foot. So we vary that based on what we want to do, not what the defense is trying to do. But our motion, we're in a slow crossover motion, and it's the same for power as it is for monster sweep. The only time we change that type of motion is if we're running any type of jet series. We're not a rocket team. Number one, just because I can't teach the son of a bitch, no matter how many times I pick his brain, we just weren't really good at teaching it. So we come up with monster sweep for our edge play. It allows us to use all the backs. We run a lot of gun double wing, and we can get our quarterback in the monster sweep. And this last season, because we have a dude at fullback. He'll be a senior this year for us. And we wanted to get the ball in his hands a little bit more. So we would get in gun, put him in a sidecar position, and run monster sweep with him as well, off of our jet look. So it allows you to attack another point of attack and with blunt force, with the number of bodies. It looks like power. So this is the rules. I'm not going to go through the rules, but we teach our wing. Our wing has probably the toughest block in the monster sweep, but his rule is he's going to block or we want to get outside flank or reach on the force defender or slightly to his outside. But we give him the opportunity to call when that player that he's supposed to block, he can make a call that, okay, he's too wide for me to get to his outside and force him in. So rather than have that defender string me out and cause problems with the play, he just makes a call, and that guy now becomes the guy we're going to kick out. And so that monster sweep's a little tighter than it normally would be. But that's the wing. So he's reached on outside. Tight end is on inside. Tackle on inside. Our guards pull FBI, which is for us first back there inside. With them thinking inside. Again, what's this the answer for? There's tight boxes. Everybody's in the box, trying to outnumber us. And so we want to keep in there because we're heading to the edge. And so we want them looking outside or inside first at all costs. And when we don't and we start getting our eyes upfield or outside, that's when we have someone slip the back door on us and get our heels or something into play. Center, his rule is cut on, play side. Okay. Tackle is a scoop, climb. Tight end is a scoop, climb to safety. We call that the touchdown block as well. We used to call it the pizza block, but then it got kind of expensive on me. I used to give them, if they got to the safety and that cut-off block got us a touchdown, we would give them a pizza. It got to be a little expensive for us. So we call it the touchdown block now, but it's still a pride thing. We give a special helmet sticker for those type of blocks. But again, it's the same thing about like rocket and jet and stuff, is getting your bodies to the edge versus a limited number of defenders and keeping all the bad guys inside. So here we're in our, we call this cub, which is just double tight, double wing. And this is Ray. So we're going to get motion to the right out of our 3-back. And it's going to be 38 monster sweep. Okay. I told you I'm going to screw this up. Down and what?
Just down.
So here comes the wing down to seal inside. We've got our 2 guards pulling to get inside here. Here comes our fullback on his, it looks like the power kick out course. The edge defender or the force defender is already stepping out to make it easier for us. Quarterback's up in there leading. You know, to start off, obviously, that's a great win for us. But the reason I started with this one is this is the first play of the second half in this game. This game's 7-6 us at halftime. This team put it on us the year before pretty good. We had the way our independent schedule worked out. We ended up scheduling them again and had to go to their place again. And so this was a big game for us. It was a tight game, 7-6 at halftime. We went in, we started having a problem with, we weren't getting that inside backer cut off good enough. And he was causing us some issues with a run through. And so what we did was we made an adjustment at halftime where instead of our center cutting that play side defensive tackle, we just went ahead and had our tackle go down, our tight end go down, and our wing go down. And we had our center climb up and cut that inside backer off. So we come right out of the halftime after making that adjustment, and we go to the house with it. Here it is again, now double wing. Again, if you.
So you said in the first half you were climbing to the bottom?
With the center? No, the center was cutting play side A, cutting that tackle. He was doing. He was going to the backer, and we weren't getting it. The backer was slipping us too easy, so we had a call where we switched it and had the center climb, and that made a difference. Right, Zach. But you can see, I mean, this is what we face a lot, and we run probably, I don't know, Jeff, 75, 80% out of this formation. I'm not big on splitting off the backside or anything like that. I like having that tight air to cut things off and keep that tackle in the power play. That's just my personal preference. We use our quarterback to block, and we're a toss team. We don't hand off. But what we get is, again, coaches are taking and ripping these guys' ass sideline about getting kicked out on power. So now they become overly aggressive to attack that kick out, whether it be wrong arm or slant across your face or whatever. And then we use that against them coming back with the monster sweep.
He almost had a two-way.
Pardon me?
He almost had a two-way.
Yeah.
Coach, you emphasize the log. If those guys are staying inside, I mean, I know you're telling your forwards, but with the fullback, is he always trying to get?
Fullback is it's kind of one of those performance things. We were just having this conversation because on Coach Nauman talking about whether he was going to kick out or he felt he needed to log. We a lot of times don't give our fullback an option. We are diehard. You got to get the kick out, and if that guy's crashing down or really slamming it down in across the face of the tight end and what have you, then that means we need a better angle on our J block. Okay, and so especially early on, we don't want to give our fullback an out. We feel like if we put the log in as an option early, they're going to take the easy way out. I'll just log it rather than getting good at the route and the kick out. So we've kind of forced our fullback's hands. Now we've got, like I said, we've got a really good fullback right now. And so we allow him sometimes, if he gets out there on the kick out and that guy's really playing hard inside, to go ahead and just log him inside, or especially on the monster sweep because it's supposed to be an edge play. But when it comes to power, log's not an option for us. And to be honest, this was our 2019 when we had our good run. This running back, he was a 2,000-yard back, but he really wasn't a cutback guy. And you talked about seeing that he had a two-way there. He didn't see that, but he was really good at reading his blocks and staying behind his blocks. And he was a big, powerful guy. I mean, he was about 190, 200 pounds, and just extremely strong kid. And he did a nice job of following his blockers. We've been pretty blessed, too, with having quarterbacks that aren't scared to stick their nose in there. That's why we don't boot and get them up in there. The 2019 run, our quarterback was, what was he, 6'3", 225. And he went to Ashland University as a safety. I mean, he was a player. Then the other direction is 49. Same rules, just flip sides. We don't flip our line. We have right side, left side. We don't flip our backs. Left wing's always going to be a left wing. Right wing's always going to be a right wing. The reason we call our fullback H-back is because we move him around with tags a lot. So he's really, truly not in a fullback position all the time. So we just started calling him an H-back, but it's the fullback. And again, like Coach said earlier, that's 7-8 yard gain. We're in film nitpicking this because if we do some things better, this is 88 and out the gate type play because of it being a complement to how you establish power and things. Oh, what did happen there? This one here was against Harvest Prep. It was the state semifinals in 2019. 0-0 at halftime. This is our first offensive series to start the second half. I don't know if you know anything about Harvest Prep, but being a private school, they got some dudes now, and they move well, and they really did a job of early in the first half taking away our power, and so we felt like we could really establish monster sweep in the second half. I mean, look what I said. One of the advantages. Look, everybody's in the box, and we got one edge defender. And then they've got a safety sitting back here by himself, kind of like the last line of resort here. But we felt like if we could get the mess blocked in here and get our monster sweep established in the second half, we could have a chance of still in this game in a 0-0 ball game at half.
You have success running it to the short side of the field?
This season, for some reason, we had a lot of success running the short side. I like running the short side, and I've got clips in here early. I added in the presentation about using Unbalanced, because I think Unbalanced with the monster sweep can give you a lot of advantages in the double wing. So I'm going to show you some Unbalanced clips. But we felt like a lot of times we could set the formation away from the sideline and run back into the boundary, or we would set the formation to the boundary and run to the wide side, to the nub side of the nubs formation. And it's the same blocking rules. Now we've created a shorter surface with a wider field. So we started pounding the short side of the field or the boundary to set that up later. That was this year in Rowville. And that back's 140 pound wing back. But like Coach Nauman said, we have the same rule. If you want the rock, you block. And that includes our quarterback. I mean, we start every Tuesday practice, which is our big run day. Everybody's on the boards. It's team board drills. Our puts his hand in the ground and board drill just like an offensive lineman, because it's the mindset that your ass is going to block. We also utilize the quarterback with monster sweep, so we'll go double wing gun here. We still like him up in the sniffer, but what we call it, we've got him all set, Charlie or Delta, one way or the other, and he's basically slightly into B gap, but he's still in the sniffer position. And then we get into blocker with the flat jet motion, and so we gain another blocker at the point of attack by running the quarterback. Again, we've not had the big passing quarterback threat. We've had pretty good athletes, basically running backs playing quarterback for us. And so the need to get in the gun quite a bit and use that weapon as well. Like I said, it's a great 2-point play. So this is that state semifinal game. We just scored. We just scored with 51 seconds to go in the game to take the lead, and we were up 1. We figured we go for 2. We puts us up a field goal with the athletes they had. So we actually shifted. So we were in our base double wing gun. So we shift where our left wing went to quarterback. Our quarterback out here, and now give us that extra flank with the balance. So you have tackle to tackle, and then you have 2 flex tight ends here basically. Here, this is another formation variation. Again, we've got our left wings now in the quarterback position. Our quarterback goes in the sidecar. There's our sniffer fullback in what we call delta. Still have our right wing over here. And we're direct snapping to our best ball carrier in a short yardage situation. and we're running monster sweep. That's just a closer up version. Okay, here is okay, so here I talked about going unbalanced and then running to the nub side. So we've got what we call over right. We take our right tight end and he comes over. So now we have guard, tackle, and then a flex tight end. On the backside, we have guard, tight end, and a wing. And so we're going to bring him across in flat motion. But we set the formation unbalanced to the field, which gives us, we're outnumbering them to the boundary. And so we'll run quarterback monster sweep to the nub side of unbalanced, again, giving us a plus in the run game. And again, the year before, this kid at quarterback now, he was a wingback for us. In his senior year, he plays quarterback for us. Then the other direction we call 19. It's the same thing. Talk about addition to monster sweep is going using unbalanced formations. Advantages is we create a stronger blocking surface to one side of the formation. We create confusion for the defense and alignment, especially when you run double tight, double wings often, and then all of a sudden you change one guy or you change a couple guys as far as unbalanced. Now that defense has to align to something different, and they have to do it quick. And we utilize some shifting. So we'll line up in it, or we'll line up in our base formation and shift to the unbalance, or we'll go like the old sugar huddle and speed up to the ball and snap it immediately so they can't see that, hey, they got an extra guy to this side, those type of things. Creates a personnel change, causes the defense to deviate from their base alignment, allows the double wing offense to create more of confusion or conflict with a kick out defender. And once it's on film, it causes the opponent to spend valuable time preparing for it. You know, if they only got to prepare for one formation or one variation, it's a lot easier on them. So this is over right for us. So over right, the left tackle comes to the right right end flexes out, and we play with that alignment. We can split him all the way out wide if we want to take the corner way out of the play, or we could bring him in tight, and we have various one-word calls that helps him. Like if we want, say we're having problems with the force defender here getting blocked from monster sweep with the wing, we've got a call where they'll double or they'll switch. Well, he'll down block and he'll arc around to get FBI, or we'll crack the inside linebacker. So we do various calls to gain that advantage to set that in. Here it is. This is over right. So we brought the left tackle over to the right. We flex the tight end. We've got him in a close position. Normally, if we didn't call any special tag, he'd be out in a normal split in alignment. But we've got him in close position. Again, we want to keep defenders in the box because we're going to the edge. Here it is again. This is another example. Now we're going to the nub side. So I've set your defense unbalanced to the wide side. They've adjusted their defensive line. They're playing 5 down. So they slid their defensive line. Okay. The corner that usually sits over here is now rotated back in the safety position. And so now this boundary side flank is crying for us to go over here. It's just a numbers game. Because we set the balance to the field, they shifted or adjusted the field. We now outnumber them big time to the boundary side. Over left, the opposite. And something we do, because you probably see this, some guys, we let our wings, when we're in over, we let our wing decide whether he'd want to be up in this situation or stay in his wing, 3-point stance, angled 3-point stance. And it's all performance alignment. We tell him, you have the freedom to either stand up or be down in your wing position, depending on what you feel is the best for you to get your block. Because the most important thing is for him to execute his block at high efficiency. Which you see he wasn't very good at. But even when we don't do a very good job, we outnumber them and outflank them because of the formation. We're gaining good yardage. Eagle, there's 2 E's in eagle. That means 2 ends to the right. So we take both tight ends over, and now they're in like a flex position. Tight. We take our wing, we split him out. And so now we change the motion to our jet motion. We like to run jet sweep out of this formation as well. We run power out of this formation, and we started running monster sweep out of this as well. Eagle left. So here we're going eagle left, and we're going to run our quarterback monster sweep to this unbalanced side. Now we go to the field. That was a 3rd and 17 play.
Does that also give the threat of a pass?
Yeah, we have pass plays out of this formation. Okay. Quarterback coach laughs. It's a threat. I'm big on I want to pass, not when you tell me I have to pass. So if it can run power all game, I won't come out of it. And it's been good to us. This is the end zone view of that same thing. And so we have calls where we'll play with these guys in alignment. If we don't have any call, we go 3 yards, 3 yards. We also run jet out of this. So that really, these guys, we had heard them earlier running jet out of this formation. So they were so worried about jet that they were trying to play outside leverage to make it harder on these guys blocking for the jet sweep. So we come back and we jet him across, but he becomes a lead blocker, and we run quarterback monster sweep. But again, look at the box. Look how everybody's inside. They got 2 guys outside, and we already outnumber them out here because of establishing power. Hoggy, this is primarily a passing formation for us, but we didn't want teams to think, well, hey, they're in this twins formation, it's going to be a pass all the time. So we really started running quarterback monster sweep out of the twins, what we call hoggy. We call it hoggy because it's a 2 tackle to the twin side. So it's unbalanced and it's a twins formation. Okay, and then we also go trips where we'll bring this left wing over and put him in a wing here. So we have unbalanced trips that we like to run the quarterback out of as well. There's left. This is our trips. So see, we've taken the left wing and we just moved him over and created unbalanced trips. So very tight game, gets in the middle this year. They had a pretty good football team and at 3rd place, and they were doing a pretty good job in the second half of taking away our power. And so we got in our spread unbalanced look here with the hoggy trips. Again, but look at this. Everybody is in the box except for these 2, and now we'll have a +1 with the quarterback. finishing up, I just want to give you how we've become good at running monster sweep and how it's become such a great complement to our power play. Is we spend an inordinate amount of time on run day in a half line situation with the monster sweep. And how we do it is we're going right and left at the same time. And the reason we can do that is backfields. So in the drill, you're working your backups just as much as you are your starters. And we run 2 sets of guards. So you're also building depth in your offensive line. And so this is basically how we set it up. So we got right side of the offensive line with the left guard, your backfield. Over here going to the left, you've got the left side of your offensive line with your backup guard, second backfield. We run 38 over here, 49 over here, flip it. Flip the backfield and guards. The tackles and tight ends stay on the same side because they're always left or they're always right because we don't flop our offensive line. That way, guards are getting both work, being the backside guard and the play side guard. Both backs are getting experience blocking and being the ball carrier. And then we do a split staff. So half my staff is just defensive coaches, half my staff is just offensive coaches. And we split our kids. We platoon our kids as far as practice. So we have a young group, old group. While old group's in offense, young group's in defense. Don't flip. And then halfway through, we flip. So while our offense is getting half line monster sweep, our young group defense is getting our defensive work. Or if we're in season, they're running the different looks we'll see from the opponent. And it's rapid fire. So we're running 2 backfield sets, 2 sets of guards. We're working multiple defensive fronts, and we can work all our formation adjustments. We can go 2 plays base. Next time come out and over. Next time come out and eagle. And we're repping it. We know that, hey, sometimes they'll slide the backer inside and walk corner up. We rep that. And we rep it, and we rep it, and we rep it in a half-line scenario. And that's allowed our kids to become really good at adjusting on the fly to what the defense does to us when we get in these different formations and stuff. So that's all I have on monster sweep. Anybody got any questions?
What's been the Achilles heel? When people stop monster sweep, how they're doing, what's the biggest?
2 things. The 2 things I would say that cause us big issues, and we've adapted with adjustments, is that run through because you're getting. Where the hell is the pointer here? All right, so when this guard leaves, we find teams wanting to try to come in here, depending on where the defensive, we very rarely see a 50. Teams want to try to get, because we are so successful running power, we get a lot of 4-man down stuff, or we'll get 5 down, where this guy ends up being a down guy, and then they'll bring the corner up and play, and they'll play halves in the secondary, things like that. But we would get a run through, and that guard pulls, slipping it in between the centers, cut block, and the tackle he's supposed to get down to it and get tripped up from the backside. They sweep the heels, or our fullback just gets out here in the open field and whiffs, and we got a defender in our way. But one thing that has been an advantage for us is when we start getting into those unbalanced formations, because we can dictate, and especially going to the nub side and going to the boundary. So the nice thing is, kind of like the old wing T philosophy is you're trying to outflank them, and you get to control the chess pieces, so to speak. And going half line in practice allows you to do that at a high rep. I mean, we're constant repping it. And we're going both directions. So like I would be over here with, say, my running back coach doing this one, my tight ends coach who's with me all the time, his offensive line coach, and he's my JV offensive coordinator, and my quarterback coach would be over here. So we got eyes on both sides, and we're repping simultaneously. Yeah, there's nobody standing around. Excuse me? Yeah, it's just like the toss for power.
So if he has to just come back and fill in the hole.
Then he comes around. He actually becomes a lead blocker. Okay.
Does he also peel off?
We've never done that. Like I said, what we did is we said our centers usually cut and play side A, and then our tackle he's going on inside. Okay. Well, his on inside would be the tight end's coming down to here. His on side would be the backer. So we just switch this, and we'll have him, especially against a forefront. It's not really good as a odd front, but if say this tackle's over here on our guard, instead of him trying to cut this guy, which our center's pretty good at, we would just have the tackle come down on that down lineman, and we would have him climb to the backer. And you saw that second half adjustment where we ran my first monster sweep to start the second half. We went to that adjustment, and it houses it, because that was the difference, was getting that run through from that backer taken care of.
Oh, I saw you when you ran strong side, weak side, you ran to the strong side of the field and the weak side of the field, and there was the one play where they were loaded up on the strong side, you still ran towards that, and then there was other times where you ran to the weak side. What made you decide which route to go on your next play? Is it all based off just
feel sometimes? Like we felt like we just match up, so we felt like we still could go to the unbalanced strong side. If we start struggling there, but we know we're getting a shift where they're trying, being a defensive guys, you divide the formation, you try to make sure you're not being outflanked and balanced. So anytime we move a piece, they want to try the piece so they stay balanced. Sometimes we found out if they know we run to the unbalanced side a lot, they'll overload, which then gives us the numbers to the other side. So it really is just a feel for what they're doing versus where we feel we have the advantage. A lot of it sometimes in film study or how they've played us before, if it's a repeat opponent.
I saw in that one play, it was a strong side. They had everybody in the box on the strong side, and you still ran to that side and got 4 yards. I mean, it's just.
Yeah, you still don't want to. I mean, some of that too is just saying, you don't want to say every time I get in this, just because you outnumber us over there or you match us there, we're going to run away. Yeah. You don't want to get into. We had a situation where one playoff game in our run to the state where it seemed like most of my plays where I was calling everything into the boundary. And so obviously the next week we play a team, guess what they're not adjusting to? They're not adjusting to the wide side. They're saying, well, his ass is going to run to the boundary. He did it every time last week. So you got to break those tendencies and things like that. So even though they potentially visually might have a match or an advantage to you, you still have to keep them honest. But again, for Monster Sweep, it's establishing that power first. And it's all, we come up with Monster Sweep. One, we weren't good at teaching rocket. It looks like power. It allows us to gain numbers at the point of attack, allows us to use multiple formations, multiple ball carriers. But again, that force defender or that kick out defender, he's getting his ass ripped when he's not doing defending power really well. So then he fights like a madman to defend power, and then you come out and jam him down with Monster Sweep. And so that's really why it come into development for us. Any other questions? Thank you. Appreciate it.
Thanks,